Greetings, heathens and heretics, and welcome to In the Abyss. Me and the drummist, and our esteemed guest for a second time. I don't know why you'd want to come back on, but Mr. Andrew Field of APF Records.
Good
So good
evening.
evening and welcome.
Hello, hello, and I'm back because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, you
Ah,
definitely are.
that's good. I thought we owed you money or something.
I pay on Bandcamp up front every time. It's do it all properly. But,
And my OnlyFans subscription is still live. So,
oh God, how are you, sir? Are you all good?
I am. I'm good. It's lovely to talk to you. A nice break from packing up records, which is my usual Thursday job, packing stuff up and shipping it out. So yeah, nice to have a breather and talk riffs.
There's worse
nice.
things
So,
you could be doing on a Thursday evening though than packing up records.
I can think of worse and better things I could be doing.
Well, yeah, I
Um,
suppose. I suppose.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
talking of records, we've got you back on here because last time we had you on, we were talking about records and things quite a lot, as we often do.
mhm.
We're like a stuck record, pardon the pun, but
Oh, see what we did there.
yeah. So we've done Metal Island Disc a few times now, and we thought if you are perfect for this one, so we dig into your brain and see exactly how many ELO records you can fit on one desert island and kind of go from there. So we may as well go straight in and in no particular order. It's not like a countdown or anything like that.
Have you charted them? Like, have you got like
I
a?
wouldn't be
Are they,
surprised.
are they ordered in top 10?
No,
Uh,
um, no. I mean, look, first of all, on ELO, there is not an ELO album in this list, which is
whoa,
a shocker. I
whoa.
know, I know. Um, but I think I put that down to the fact that whilst ELO was my entry point into music in 1977 when I was six, oh my God, long time ago. Um, the eight that I've come up with a couple of honorable mentions, mean way more to me than any ELO album. So that's the truth.
But
Um,
let's go
Good,
frame number one
good.
then.
so number one, so anyone who knows me well knows that my absolute favorite band of all time by 600 million years is Rush. Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm off.
So I thought we'd get this one out of the way. So like, here's the truth. I could have picked any of 15 Rush albums, yeah,
Right.
but I've gone with 2112.
Ah,
Why have I picked
Well,
2112?
that was going to be my first question. Why have you picked 2112?
Yeah, so true story. I got into Rush in 1986. I remember the moment it happened. The guy I was with, when he said, "I've got two Rush albums I want to play you. You're going to like one or the other. I'm going to play you Power Windows and 2112." And Power Windows I thought was a bit keyboardy and a bit
Mm-hmm.
uh, poppy, whereas 2112, once the 20 minutes of side one had finished, I was like, yeah, this is my band. And I went from that moment to owning every Rush album up to 1986 in 2 weeks.
I was gonna exactly that question. How long did it take you to accumulate that? Because I think we've all had those bands. Like for me, I think it was Sabbath and Ozzy. It's like as soon as I'd heard it, I was just like, right, I have to have everything they've ever done. And
Yeah,
that's it. You just spend the next 4 weeks just accumulating whatever you can get your hands on with whatever money you've got left in your pocket.
yeah, totally. And with you guys being good Southern boys, yeah, I picked up the entire Rush discography in 2 Saturdays. Yeah, half of it at the Record and Tape Exchange in Notting Hill,
Hmm.
and the other half of it at Reckless Records in Islington.
nice.
Two secondhand record shops who
Very cool.
back in the like vinyl was starting to die even then, and so you could pick up secondhand vinyls for you know 5-6 quid.
Right. Yeah.
And I had the entire Rush vinyl discography 2 weekends later. Uh, like a fool, fast forward 20 years, and like everybody, I sold it all for nothing. And then I've spent the last 3 years paying extortionate amount of money
Right.
to
Yeah.
replace it all.
Yeah, some Rush albums you can still pick up for next to nothing, but the key ones, they are pricey, aren't they? For you know,
Uh, And actually, bizarrely, some of the final ones that they did, which uh, either weren't released on vinyl or were on very limited vinyl runs when they came out, they've now repressed them. But Rush's management aren't daft. They do it all in box sets where you need to remortgage your life
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
to pick them up. So yeah, I've probably spent getting my Rush vinyl collection back probably 5 times what I paid for it in the first
Crazy.
place. Yeah.
Do you have like I'm are you sort of geeky enough that you have any thoughts about the sound difference between the represses and the early stuff? I mean, I tend to not get caught up too much in that sort of stuff, but I'm just interested as someone that had it all and has replaced it, what you think.
Yeah, as a generalization, vinyl back then sounds better than vinyl does now. Yeah. And when I look at my vinyl collection, which I can see from where I'm sitting now, the best sounding ones are the ones that were made in the 70s.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and going back to what Joey said, yes, you can pick up like copies of Rush's moving pictures anywhere, but finding one that's in X or X minus condition, which is what you need of, one of the pressings from 1981, um, you can actually tell the difference between that and the remaster.
Fair play. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, 2112 was a very important album for me because it turned me into this rabid, geeky stalker Rush fan who then saw them 33 times all over the world before they called it a day. So
I love
I flew to America to see them. Um, Stayed with Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater at his house for that.
this is getting worse.
Fair enough.
So, and
I'm
then I
assuming
flew.
that was cheaper than an Airbnb at the time.
It was then because like I saw Rush in New York in 1990 when Dream Theater had released their first album, but then the vocalist had left and they were unsigned and not doing anything. So no one knew who they were, and I stayed at his house, and it was good fun. And we went to see Rush together
Yeah.
in New York, and that was great.
What was the connection there then? So how did you end up at Mike Portnoy's house? And did he come to the gig as well? Because I imagine a Rush gig with a member of Dream Theater must be like some kind of, I mean, for him it would have been Holy Grail. For you, it was a Holy Grail. The excitement levels must have been.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the gig with all of Dream Theater. Um, so how did it come about? I was writing for a fanzine at the time, interviewed him. We got on the interview. And he made the stupid mistake of saying, if ever you're in New York, you can stay with me. So of course, Rush announced tour dates, and I messaged him, and well, in those days you phoned them. I phoned him and said, Rush play in New York. Can I come and stay? And he said, yeah, sure you can, dude.
Oh, cool.
And so I flew in, stayed with him for 3 or 4 days. On the second day, I went to see Dream Theater writing in their rehearsal studio. So I saw um, bits of images and words being written, which was really cool.
Wow.
And then that evening, yeah, all six of us went to see Rush at oh God, what was the venue? It was in New Jersey, not New York. But yeah, it was great.
Fantastic. So actually, I'd imagine the money you've spent traveling and ticket prices probably eclipses the money you've spent on vinyl
Yeah.
in terms of Rush albums.
But also, when this isn't lost on me. I know roughly how much I spent in 1990 flying to New York to see Rush, then going down on the train to Philadelphia to see them twice there, and then flying home. And it cost me less than it would cost me to go and see um, a festival now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these mega stadium gigs with the stupid pricing, I'm thinking Oasis, that kind of thing. My entire holiday cost less than 2 Oasis tickets would have cost.
Yeah. It's insane. But I mean, I'm starting to come round to Rush. To be fair, 'cause we've kind of planned to do something with Rush a little bit later in the year, so I'm sort of dipping in a little bit more than I had done all my anti-prog stuff, trying to push aside whatnot. And I'm there's elements of it I'm coming round to, definitely. There's still some of that early stuff that's out there. I can't get my head around that at all, but I am getting there, so I get it. But and as much as Dream Theater are the Antichrist on this podcast, that's a fucking cool story.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
play.
Well, I mean, I'm not a fan now.
That's
You
because
know
you
that
suck.
back then I was 18 and got excited about these kinds of things, but no, they're nowhere near my top 10 or my top 1,000. So you don't have to worry about that. But just
Right.
on Rush, the one thing I will say is it's really hard. You know, when newbies come to the table and sort of say, "Come on, then Rush, where do I start?" That's impossible to answer because they had four different, completely different periods of sound. You know,
Yeah.
so that and that's bringing that back to 2112. The guy who got me into them said, "There's Power Windows, there's 2112. You'll probably like one or the other."
Yeah.
And it was very true back then. It's not until I really got into them that I kind of got it. But yeah, all the eras.
It's an interesting one. But there are a few bands that you can do that. We recently did a couple of episodes on Black Sabbath, and really, when you take everything they've ever done, you could dip in at one point and dip in at another and have a completely different experience.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. And even the Aussie Dio split is one thing, but then you end up, wouldn't you, saying to someone getting into Sabbath, don't listen to anything really after 1983.
It's not
Well,
true.
I mean, I told the story on the episode that I always had these nightmares about recommending Sabbath and them like looking them up on YouTube and finding No Stranger to Love, the kind of
Yeah, yeah,
Glenn Hughes era mega ballad.
yeah. Or that really awful one, was it? Is it Forbidden? It's called.
Yes, yeah, we've talked about
You
Forbidden a
haven't got
lot.
that fucking far.
Because I've come around to that in quite a big way actually. But you'd
Good.
have to. I mean, we put our thoughts out on the episode, so it's quite an interesting listen.
All right, I'll revisit that.
Um, right. That's so. I hope there might be more prog, I suppose, knowing you that we do. But what's album number two?
I can assure you the rest is a prog free zone.
Get in.
Right, second one. My entry point into heavy rock, Led Zeppelin 2.
Ugh,
That's an interesting one because Led Zeppelin, again, like Sabbath, they're one of those bands that where do people fall into Led Zeppelin? For me, it was Led Zeppelin 3, but a lot of people it is Led Zeppelin 2. So, what took you to that album?
So, when you spoke to me last time, I told you that my entry point into hard rock and heavy metal was via rap, specifically
mm,
Run DMC, Walk This Way, which led me to Aerosmith, which led me to read about Aerosmith. And at the time, when I was when this was happening, it was like, well, Aerosmith are just a poor man's Led Zeppelin.
right.
So you think, right, better go and listen to some Led Zeppelin then. And I bought Led Zeppelin 2 in Tower Records Piccadilly on CD, completely blind. Yeah. Got home and by the end of Whole Lot of Love was in love. By the end of the Lemon song was like, oh my fucking God, what's this? Heartbreaker, which just still slays me to this day. And that Led Zeppelin 2 was my reason to go on elsewhere. Oh my God, if it's all like this, I'm in for a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a really, really, really big album for me. And I still listen to tracks from Led Zeppelin 2 monthly. I mean, like all the time, just consistently for 30 years. So always go back to it. Really pivotal album in my collection.
It's weird with like I said with Zeppelin that I don't listen to them very often. I went through a period in the 90s when I was sort of starting to branch out when I was sort of probably about 15, 16. And that's when I picked up Led Zeppelin 3. It was the starting point. I was like, oh, this is good. And then I went to Led Zeppelin 1 from there and started working forwards. And I became obsessed with them for a little bit. Like I couldn't get enough. Every sort of CD, I picking up bootlegs and also everything I could get my hands on, I bought. And then for donkey's years, I've hardly listened to them.
Mm.
And every now and then, you'll like a song will come on TV, or I'll hear one, or it'll just pop up, or I listen to it. And I do still get blown away by that band sometimes.
Yeah.
They were just when they were on it, they were absolutely phenomenal. They were so overblown and so ridiculous, but such incredible songwriters.
Incredible songwriters, but for me as a failed drummer, um, the
Mm.
key to Zeppelin for me is Bonham. Yeah,
Oh,
and if you go on look on YouTube, you can find isolated drum tracks. Yeah, which is
yeah.
just Bonham, and they've isolated him. And not only are we talking about the power and the tone of his drums, but it's so simple.
Yeah, it's all
So
groove.
it's
It's
all
all
groove. It's so simple, but you go and try and play it, not a chance.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The guy was an absolute genius. Joey, if you like Led Zeppelin 3, Out on the Tiles, if you hear the isolated drum tracks of the shuffle on Out on the
Yeah.
Tiles, it's just mind blowing, absolutely intoxicating.
That's going to be the first thing I do when we get off this.
There you go. Yeah, and of course, Led Zeppelin 2, we've got Moby Dick, haven't we? Where Bonham really lets rip.
Phenomenal.
There's a live version of that. I think it's on The Song Remains the Same. That is just blows my mind. And again, if you stack it up to up next to today's kind of internet drummers, which are just ridiculous levels of skill, it kind of the ability isn't there. But as you said, there's heart and soul in that
All in the
drum.
feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
He's also got
undeniable.
he's got that magic foot,
Yes,
you
it
know.
skips. Yeah.
The triple drum. I don't know what the technical term is, but yeah, I mean,
Well, they call it
uh,
the Bonham triplet, don't they?
yeah, the Bonham triplet.
Yeah.
So yeah, pivotal album.
Yeah, I Zeppelin for me it was remasters, the compilation, and
Yeah.
it was a
Fine, that.
classic example of like borrowing it from my older brother's bedroom. And for a long time, Stairway to Heaven was the only song I'd listen to because it was exactly the same length as my walk from my house to the school bus to take me off to school. So it would take that kind of 7 minutes, and then I'd be away. Eventually sort of explored the rest of the album, and then it was just true love. They're a band, similar story to Joey. It's like got massively into them, set them down, but now whenever I listen to them, I mean, we had a text conversation, myself and Tregenza. I was listening to Physical Graffiti on my way to work, I mean literally a month ago, and I just had to text out in the group. It's like I know this sounds like a cliche. I know it sounds like some fucking like boomer take, but they just don't make them like this anymore.
No.
It's incredible. It's fire.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And when you look at it as a body of work, it was all done in a 10-year period.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, and that's something, when I was reflecting on this list, because there's some albums here from that era. And bands had careers in 10 years. Now you're lucky if they release 2 albums in that period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We had the same conversation about Sabbath. It's crazy when you think of the level that they're churning out in that period as well.
yeah.
Madness.
Yeah.
It almost shouldn't be allowed, but
Yeah. It's like, think about Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman were written like back to back, that's all. I mean, what an incredible body of work just or how creative to just put that all together in that space of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Okay. So that was yeah, that's a bit more like it. What's number 3?
All right. So number 3 is Led Zeppelin 1. Sorry, I'm joking. Number 3 is Van Halen 1.
Oh,
Right.
So again, continuing on the journey of discovering metal, rock and metal, was again clearly one of those moments that I remember the first time I heard that triple whammy of Eruption, You Really Got Me, and Ain't Talking About Love. And those 3 songs back to back on that album were another game changer. Yeah. You also have to put it in context that I discovered that album in the late 80s. Yeah.
Right.
When everyone else was getting off on Def Leppard and Motley Crue and what have you.
Mm.
And because I was the right age, I thought that was really cool. And then somebody said, well, you need to listen to the first Van Halen album. And then after that, you just realized that, fully realized how all of those other bands were just really shit compared with what Eddie Van Halen was doing on the first 2 Van Halen albums.
Van Halen were a stadium rock band from day one.
Yeah.
Like you listen to that album and you think this band, you can't imagine how this band were ever playing in grubby little clubs. They were always
Just imagine. Like probably them and Kiss were just two bands that were just created stadium ready,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, totally. We were talking about Sabbath. I would love to have seen, the legendary gigs at Hammersmith
Mm.
in the late 70s where Van Halen wiped the floor with Black
Right,
Sabbath.
yeah.
Because you can't really, on one level, you can't imagine that happening. But on the other level, when you actually think about it, you probably could. Yeah.
Mm.
Because Ozzy was knee deep in his decline,
Yeah.
on that tour. Was it the Never Say Die tour? I think it
I
was,
think
wasn't
it
it?
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, I would kill to have seen them.
Mm.
But although Van Halen as a band went in directions I then wasn't massively interested in. Just before Eddie died, he did that final tour where they got Dave Lee Roth back in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I watch footage of that on YouTube, when it was Wolfgang Van Halen
Mm.
on bass, I mean, Eddie was just mind blowing as a guitarist right the way till the very end.
Mm.
Might have been writing average material towards the end, yeah, but as a guitar player, he's just something else.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think he gets the mainstream credit that he deserves. Because everyone talks about a Slash and people like that, but in the actual mainstream, outside of this bubble that we're in, Eddie Van Halen, I don't think has had the same. I might be wrong, but it doesn't feel like he's had the same sort of kudos that others get.
No, I think it's a fair comment.
And that's a really interesting observation because when I look at my list of eight that we're going through, with the exception of Rush, yeah, all the rest, it's notable for being guitarists who I think did something very special
Mm.
within rock. Let's just say that. See what you
Right.
think as the list involves.
Also, one other thing about that album, Running with the Devil, is the bass line that formed Megadeth, wasn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, so Dave Ellison and Dave Mustaine were living in the same block of flats, and Dave Ellison was just constantly playing that bass line. And Dave went down to his flat to say, "Shut the fuck up! What is it you're doing? All that?" And he was there. He's just dung, 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 and that's how the two of them met and ended up forming Megadeth.
Wow. No, that's a story. I didn't know that one.
The other
Yeah.
way around. So yeah, yeah. So that might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. I don't know. It depends which way you look at it. But
Yeah, but definitely the first Zeppelin Van Halen album. Yeah, it's the one that I've consistently listened to. Like as you said, I've dipped in and out of other stuff. I've enjoyed other stuff. I'll take or leave other stuff. But that first album consistently good. They just nailed it on that.
it's also filthy. It's
Yeah,
raunchy, isn't it? It's just
it is.
like the really got me cover. It just sounds nasty, dirty,
Yeah,
filthy.
yeah,
Yeah. If you combine Eddie's uniqueness, because it was at the time, no one had ever heard anything
No.
like it, with Alex's monstrous um, drumming.
yeah.
Yeah, obviously Dave Lee Roth was a showman. Um, but kudos, let's be geeky, to Ted Templeman who recorded it. Yeah,
Mm,
who was an absolute master at getting that sound. Yeah, with the grime and the grunt, but also the space. Um, have you ever heard that? Let's go back even further. Have you ever heard Montrose?
I know
yes,
Montrose. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. My brother was a
So
fan.
he recorded the first Montrose album, yeah, which was Sammy Hagar's
Mm,
band back in 1973, and that first Montrose album has got exactly the same sound.
right,
So
right. So just as you say, then kudos to Ted Templeman who get that on tape.
if anybody really does like the first two Van Halen albums and likes that sound, then they should check out Montrose's self-titled debut.
There goes another recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
Um,
that's why I love these episodes. They're among my favorite episodes because there's always this kind of family tree that creeps out
yeah,
from everything
yeah.
that's talked about. And that's, as rock and metal fans, that's been it. That's been it for years. It's just following those leads and following those little alleyways and you're in a
It's
Totally.
the
maze.
pub conversation that we all love, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right, let's have another one then before we so I don't know if you've decided on a luxury item to take with you, but let's do one more album before we look into that.
Yeah. So number four is Caius Blues for the Red Sun,
Mm.
which I've picked. Apart from the fact that I listen to it all the time and think it's a modern classic, it's how I got to where I am now, really, in that I've got this record label, APF Records, which releases stoner, sludge, and doom. And I would say that there are two albums that led me to being in the position to like this kind of music and have a record label. And one of them is Cars for the Blues for the Red Sun. And I'll tell you about the other one in a minute. But the guys who made that, John Garcia, Brant Bjork, Nick Oliveri, Josh Homme, and then recorded by Chris Goss of Masters of Reality, were just genius levels. And I don't think they even knew they were genius. They were just guys who were writing songs, going out into the desert and recording, playing them and recording them. But Thumb and Green Machine, the first two tracks on that, are absolutely fundamental to my music taste and to where that music taste took me. I discovered the album when it came out in 1992. It was reviewed in Kerrang by a writer called Morat.
Right. Yeah.
With the umlauts.
Yeah.
With the umlauts. And
Yeah.
if he, back then in like 1990 to 92, if he gave something the 5Ks, then I bought it. Yeah.
Right.
And he gave it a 5K, said it was on import only, but that they were mind-blowing. And that was enough for me to just go out and buy it blind on CD. And yeah, after two tracks, I knew what he was on about.
Those two tracks are some. I remember being absolutely fucking blown away by that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
In 1999, I bought it on CD in a little shop in Sutton in southwest London, and I'd never heard them, but seen them talked about and everything like that. Obviously, before the days of the internet, and yeah, I put that on, and just how heavy it is. It's just
It was, but the thing is, it was like uniquely heavy at the time as well. It was ushered in a completely new sound. You know, it kind of took what Sabbath had been doing, put some punk in there, put some other kind of weird, kind of trippy desert magic in there, and it just hit a new level of heavy. You know, it rumbles. It rumbles.
You nailed it there. There'd never been anything like it before. Yeah, and it was unique. Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
And
I think it's exactly the point you made. I don't think they were trying to sound a particular way. They just put their songs down on tape and, you know, by some kind of magical alchemy came up with this thing, which has, you know, just carried through and created a whole genre.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, that album led to so many other things. One of my honorable mentions is Slow Burn's Amusing the Amazing EP.
Yeah.
Which again is that is in my view, the greatest EP ever released. I worship it. But, you know, my love of John Garcia back then led me from Caius to Slow Burn to Unida to Hamano, the other band that he was in. I've always loved Brant Bjork. Josh Homme, I can take or leave. Josh Homme, to pronounce it correctly. But yeah, really pivotal album, which got me into, if we can use the word, stoner rock, which led me to other bands, which led me to Manchester stoner bands, which led me to doing APF Records.
Fantastic. So yeah, pretty big deal then.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think they're one of those bands? Obviously, we are in a period now where reunions and things are the thing. They're the one that just doesn't feel like it would ever happen. There's an awful lot of ego going on there as well, which doesn't help. But it just feels like they're one that it would never happen. I don't think.
No, I don't think so. Let's be honest. The vast majority of reunions happen ultimately because money's involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Josh Homme doesn't need the money.
No.
Yeah. John Garcia would love to do it. I'm sure he's desperate to do it because he would love to have the money. Yeah. I'm sure that Brant Bjork and Nick Oliveri wouldn't turn it down. But whilst Queens of the Stone Age are filling large arenas and making tons of cash, I can't see any reason why Josh Homme would want to go back and do it again.
No, which is fair enough. But it's a shame because I know Queens of Stone Age are, quite a well-loved band, but they've never excited me in the same way. They're just something very sort of watered down about Queens of the Stone Age. I never quite got the fuss. They
Right.
obviously do something
They
right, but
to Van Halen in a way. So I think those early albums, there's gold on there,
mm.
but everything kind of got a little bit smoothed out and cleaned up, and they morphed into something that wasn't quite as exciting for me. But I still love those early albums, Queen's albums.
Rated R and Songs for the Deaf.
Right, and
Yeah,
the debut, I think, Regular
yeah,
John for me is one of the greatest opening songs on an album ever.
yeah. So those first three, yeah, I was engaged, but then after that, I completely lost interest. And I remember hearing Era Vulgaris, and just I can rarely remember being so disappointed in an album.
Mm. I think, yeah,
So
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
that mid period, they kind of lost the songwriting went, I thought.
yeah, yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
what was missing. All of a sudden, nothing, there were no hooks. There was nothing to really kind of keep you there. I mean, I'm sure other people would say different, but that was it for me. I couldn't find the songs.
No, no, me neither, and lost interest. So yeah, um,
So off the back
yeah,
of as we talk about that and the impact that it's obviously had on you, let's obviously touch on APF since the last time we spoke, which has been quite a while now. I can't remember when it was we last had you on, but it feels like it was quite a long
I think it
time
was
ago.
February. I think it was February we were
I
last
mean,
together.
talking over 6 months ago. Fucking hell. So last week, as we were recording this, the new Goblin Smoker record came out, which is
yes,
an absolute belter, by the way.
thank
Um,
you.
that proper hits you like right in the middle. That in the same way that Blues to Red Sun did back then. It's got that same kind of really sort of deep end there. So, um, tell us a bit what's going on at the minute. What else you've got coming up? What's come out recently? All of that kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, Goblin Smoker it has been a huge one for us. It's the most pre-ordered APF release of the 75 that we've done. So, because APF is me, yeah, packing up and shipping that lot out has taken over my life for the
Oh, wow.
last 2 weeks. But yeah, also a proper word of mouth album. What I love about Goblin Smoker is uh, yeah, people buy on word of mouth. We sent it out to a few journalists who reviewed it, but that didn't really matter. Yeah, from the day I put it on sale as a pre-order, it just took off, and um, they're like a cult band already.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, really, a big cult band. That APF is doing a sort of hometown Manchester APF Fest. It's called,
Oh,
6 APF
yes, I've
bands.
seen that pop up this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Goblin Smoker are headlining that. It's on the 13th September. And they're headlining it because they are currently the biggest selling band on the label, so they deserve it. So we've done that. Today we've released a new single by Void Lurker, who are
Which is
a
also fucking awesome.
yeah,
Listen to it on the way home today.
they're a three-piece doom band from Birmingham, who have taken 5 years to come up with their second EP, bless them. Um, and so that whole EP comes out in September. At the end of August, I've got Torso's third album, Annihilation Day, out, which is Graham Bywater from Possessor's current project. And then what else? Before the end of the year, I've got albums to release by Under and the Hyena Kill, who are two APF
Wow.
stalwarts. So yeah, no rest for the wicked.
That's what you want. You got to stay busy. Yeah, it's
On and on.
just on Void Lurk. I mean, I love the new track. It's great. I mean, we booked them for a show last year. They stepped in when we lost a band with Dunes last year, and they were fucking great for a three-piece. They made an absolute
Yeah.
racket.
Yeah.
Absolute racket. They're really, really good. Come all the way down from Birmingham. It was yeah, they were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
They're great. They're awesome, awesome lads, and they really happy to just play gigs every weekend. I saw them in October last year in a venue that truly you could only just swing a cat in. Um, it was a venue in Stoke, which was basically a garage in the back of a pub. Um, it was absolutely rammed to the rafters, and what I mean by that is there's probably 30 people in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, But they just played off of the amps with vocals through the PA. That was it, and
Yeah, that's all we do down here as well.
just just flattened me. They were awesome, so I love them. Great band.
Yeah, they're
Fantastic.
very cool. They're very cool. So have you chosen a luxury item to take with you?
My luxury item would be a very expensive hi-fi system. Yeah,
That's what everybody says.
yeah, but in my case, right? So I come from an era where, and I know, Bean, you're not as old as me, but you probably get this, where you just had a really nice stereo, right? And you played vinyl and CDs on it, and even tapes. Yeah,
Yeah, usually with a wood finish.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Whereas now,
look, even I, that's even my era. Fuck me, I'm not that much younger.
but nowadays they want you to consume music through disappointing mediums like your phone or a smart speaker
Mm-mm.
or a shit stereo. Yeah. And it's just not good enough for me. Yeah. So I always have to have a very nice stereo. When I got my first job when I was 18, first thing that I did was save up for a Marantz stereo with these great big wooden cased speakers, separate, CD, taped tape, vinyl, amp,
Proper
Yes.
separate.
Yeah.
proper
Yeah.
Yeah.
proper cables, speaker stands, positioned correctly in the room. Yeah. And immersed myself in sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if I'm going to a desert island, I'm not taking my phone and a pair of speakers. It's just not good enough for me. So I
No,
want
fair
my
enough.
I want my really nice hi-fi with my vinyl and CD collection.
My
Yeah.
favorite ever amp is a Marantz amp. I had a Marantz PM 7200, and it sounded fucking incredible. Bought it
Yeah,
secondhand for about 120 quid, and it sounded amazing. It was fucking huge. It's like a
yeah,
small house, but yeah, it sounded so good.
I
My
remember
my kit now is all old. My turntable is an old dual one from the mid 70s, weighs about 15 kilos, and it just sounds amazing. It's my second one. My first one went tits up, and went and found another one exactly the same, and I absolutely love it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just can't beat that proper equipment.
No,
Yeah, I
no.
remember the day my parents went out to buy the sound system, and they still have to this day the same sound system that they bought back then, and it's got all the cabling around the back is like fiber optics, which
Yes,
I never seen. Like it seemed to come and go, and it was a bit of a fad and a bit of a thing, but it's great. Well, it sounds great. The whole system sounds great. But
yeah,
yeah, God, I mean, happy memories just bouncing around the front room listening to whatever was going on. We had, like you said, it was a mixture of vinyl. We had cassettes, we had CDs. Actually, they came back and it was like the first CD player we ever had in the house. And of course, we didn't have any CDs, so they bought one in the shop just to bring back and try it all out. And the CD they bought was a triple disc best of Stock Aitken and Waterman.
Oh, nice.
So that was my first CD
Does
experience.
that need
wow.
3 CDs? Fucking hell.
I know.
Well,
Yeah. What can I
yeah,
say?
yeah.
What can I
Look,
say?
yeah. I suppose you're right. If you're going to listen to this stuff, you want to be able to, you're stuck with it. You've got to be able to listen to it right, haven't you?
Totally.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, maybe it's a bit of an obvious luxury to take, but I'm so immersed in music that was the one thing. Genuinely, I thought on a desert island, if I haven't got a nice stereo, then
What's the point?
Yeah.
what's the point?
I
Yeah,
can I can get with that.
yeah,
Hey, so where are we? Number five, aren't we? I think so we're
yeah.
halfway through.
Number five is Chicago doom metal band Trouble's self-titled 1990 album.
Oh, God, it's
Ooh.
Alistair all over again.
Yeah,
Who you pick that?
I thought you were going to say Chicago. Then I thought this is taking an interesting
Yeah,
turn.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
there's no judgment here on this podcast, though. So
Well, a little bit.
Well,
Trouble.
has somebody picked this one before?
Yeah, Alistair talked about it for about an hour.
yeah,
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll keep it quick then.
but to be
Um,
fair, he listed about 87 albums, so
right.
it'll be no surprise that some of these are going to cross over.
All right. Well, I just think it's one of the finest metal albums of all time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I
And
mean, this is about your journey with that album, so
yeah,
feel free to big it up.
yeah. So obviously, really briefly talked about my roots when I was very young of being hip hop, which led me into metal. Obviously, when I was into hip hop, I was into Def Jam. So when Rick Rubin leaves and sets up Def American, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he takes Slayer with him. Brilliant. Everybody loves Slayer. Um, but then he took some bands who didn't take off, Wolfsbane,
Yeah.
he took, and then this Lot Trouble, who I hadn't heard of. I didn't realize that they'd done these other Doom albums in the 80s. And so bought it blind, and it blew my head off. It's got the Iomi Chug, which I obviously love, and it's got it's just produced within an inch of its life. It's just a stunning metal album and an essential part of my collection. So that's why I picked it.
Mm.
I think it's fair
Yeah.
reasons.
They're kind of almost the perpetual like a true underground band,
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
loves them. There are a lot, you if you mention Trouble, most people would kind of give that nod like, oh yeah, Trouble. Yeah, what a
Yeah,
great
wasn't, but it seems to be fairly recent because, like, when they released that album, I saw them at the Marquee in London. Yeah,
right.
and it wasn't full. Yeah, it wasn't sold out. You could walk up on the night and buy tickets.
That's interesting.
So, around about that time, they weren't big at all. Yeah, and I think that album, and the follow-up, Manic Frustration, have just turned into word of mouth growers. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
so that um, you know, if they played if they played the UK now, it wouldn't sell out because obviously I've forgotten his name. The singer's dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the standing guy, whose name I also can't remember, isn't as good. But yeah, back then,
yeah.
um, seeing them with 150 other people in the marquee was just a mind blowing
Mm,
experience. You
mm.
know,
I guess around that time as well, I mean, we kind of take it for granted that whole kind of Sabbathy thing has really had a resurgence. Maybe, I don't know, last 10 years, should we say? And perhaps we take it for granted that everyone's always loved that, but back then, other things were happening in metal. That was probably a bit of a minority. There's a band around that time, I can remember in the early 90s, actually, this would have been. There was a band called The Dawn, and they were like always a support band. Any time you went to see a band in London, it would be The Dawn, would usually be like first on the bill. But they were completely doing that 70s throwback thing, which is huge now. It's massive. And I kind of I couldn't really give them credit for it at the time, but they must have been among the first bands to really take that thing and kind of bring it back. Um, so I guess, Trouble were kind of playing, around that time as well, bit prior to that, but yeah,
yeah,
maybe it just wasn't as popular as we might assume it is now.
what they were doing was completely out of vogue. It wasn't in vogue at all, which is
Mm,
why nobody bought it at the time. I think Rick Rubin thought, I've got the magic touch here. I
right.
can sprinkle my magic on Trouble and Wolfsbane and create two more Slayers, and
Yeah.
soon realised that it wasn't that simple.
No. I mean,
And
Cathedral are sort of another band from around that time that people give lots of kudos to, but they never really ascended.
no, totally. So
Candlemass were another one. Really, you think about it, obviously you're going back to
Yeah.
'86, but from then on, yeah, it's a weird period for Doom. There's some fucking great albums, but you're right. I've never really thought about it that way. That it's just not the profile isn't from then. It is more now.
yeah,
It's bizarre.
totally. Yeah. So there you go. That's that. Because
Fine choice.
it's been talked about, then let me go on to number six, shall I?
Go on then.
Yeah. Number six is Grand Funk by Grand Funk, the
Oh,
Red Album from 1969.
love a bit of Grand Funk.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
I had to say, also one of Alistair's choices.
Yeah, it was as
oh
well.
no way.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Yeah. But, what a great album. So we can do it again.
yeah. I mean, it's a bass player's album. It's got the best sounding bass
I was
on.
about to make exactly that comment. The bass
Yeah.
tone is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, I have got many people into the Red Album who are bass players who hadn't heard it. Yeah. Um, and that's what I do now. If I meet a bass player in a rock band and they've not heard Grand Funk, I say, go and listen to it and come back to me. And they always come back and go, my,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Um,
all time. It's kind of got that almost sort of. I think of John Entwistle when I think of Grand Funk. You know, it's just this full. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what the word is to describe it, but it's just huge.
it's just enormous. And then you put Farmer's guitars on top and his wail. Yeah. Back then he was a complete badass. Yeah. And back then they were allowed to like put big long wig outs on it, like Inside Looking Out or In Need. The combined length of those takes up what, about 18 minutes of that album.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just mind-blowing. Now, I discovered that album about 20 years ago and I listened to it weekly.
Right.
Yeah. And that's no exaggeration. I've listened to it this week. It's just the perfect rock album.
Mm. Did you ever hear the Obsessed cover of Inside Looking Out?
I'm going to make a note of that because I've got to listen.
They do a great, and it was actually the first version of that song I'd heard. So
Right,
when it came
right.
on, first time I heard the original, I was like, oh shit! Like I had no idea. But it's a very cool cover.
Have you seen the footage on YouTube of them playing In Need live?
Oh no, 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 no.
You would absolutely need that in your life. It's if we often fantasize about time machines. Yeah.
Often on this podcast, we do it.
If I had a time machine, I would go back and watch Grand Funk on that tour in 69, 70.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
mean,
I can't.
if I had a time machine, you wouldn't see me for dust. I'd be here, there, and everywhere. My
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
you know.
totally. But that's one place that I would go. And if I can be as bold as to say, because you asked me for my favorite T-shirt, didn't you?
Yep.
My
Yes.
favorite,
Yeah.
my favorite T-shirt is my Grand Funk Red Album red T-shirt with white print on it.
Very cool.
How
Very
old's that t-shirt and do you still
cool.
wear it?
Well, I have two. I have one that's about 20 years old, which says it's a large, but really isn't. Because don't you think that as well? That large t-shirt sizes a long time ago are mediums now. But
Yeah, funny
anyway, I've
that.
got,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
nothing to do with me and my weight.
No, it's
But
shrinkflation at its worst.
but anyway, I have the original one that I bought 20 years ago, and then I have one that I bought off of an eBay seller, which was
Mm.
brand new and unworn about 2 years ago.
Nice. I've just
Unworn,
got
did you say?
Unworn.
Oh wow.
I've just got
Yeah,
pictures of you now, sat on your beach in the desert island in your red Grand Funk t-shirt, listening to your Grand Funk on your massive stereo.
that's the one.
Sounds all right, doesn't it? To be honest.
Yeah. And when it comes to vinyl, I don't own the Red Album on vinyl. I only have it on CD because they never reissued it. Yeah. And if you want a pristine copy, you've got to remortgage your house.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
On Discogs, there's occasionally like a fairly battered copy that will go for 40 or 50 quid. But if you want a really nice one, which doesn't have ripped sleeve and is
Yeah.
completely they go for hundreds of pounds. So
What was that
uh
then? What label were they on?
good question. Don't have that to hand,
Yeah, I
but
don't know. I just wonder if maybe, sometimes these things they never get repressed because they're off out there somewhere on a defunct label.
yeah, no, good question. Can't answer that just at the moment. But I think the sad thing for me though is that they didn't stay like that. Grand Funk, they did what, two other albums around the time which are quite good, but then from We're an American Band onwards, they just turned into this horrible commercial Foggett style
Hmm. Hmm.
boogie band, and I just totally lost interest. And that's a shame. I
Mm.
wanted more Red albums.
Yeah.
It's got to run out eventually, though, isn't it? How many
Yeah.
bands do we loved over the years, and they do. They all got to fizzle out at some point. But you're right. The frustration comes, I think, when it's less annoying when a band just kind of fizzles out and they lose that creative edge. rather than they take a direction where you just think, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Why
they
have you
sell
done
out.
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I didn't want to use that, but yeah, your loads and reloads and things like that, all the usual ones. But like, why? Why did you do that? Just,
yeah.
I get it to a
You know,
certain extent, but
yeah,
it's still, as a fan, it sucks.
yeah. A good example of that for me, bizarrely not in my list, even though I worship the ground he walks on, is Joe Walsh. Yeah.
Right.
So the James Gang were just this unbelievable cream like, cream Eric Clapton ferocious power trio. And then he went solo and made some quite interesting albums. And then he joined the Eagles, and everything he's released since then has been shit. Yeah. So he's released about 10 solo albums since he joined the Eagles, and they're all rubbish. Yeah. And I wanted more James Gang, and I wanted more of the sort of first three Joe Walsh albums, but I can't have them, and it sucks.
No, he's not giving them to you.
No, he's not.
No.
Right, so what would it be number seven now? We're even fucking rattling through it now.
Right,
Two left.
number seven's an unusual one
Ooh.
because what isn't unusual is it's ZZ Top, yeah,
Hmm.
who are another band who I adore, but it's 1996's Rhythmine.
Well,
Oh,
I know, so
I
it's
don't think
not.
I've even heard that.
No, so ZZ Top fans, I think, would expect either it would be Tres Hombres or Rio Grande Mud or something from the 70s, or it might be Eliminator from the 80s. But I wasn't interested. I completely lost interest in ZZ Top after uh, what was the last one of the 70s? El Loco, I think it was called. I love all their 70s albums, and then I hated Eliminator, Recycler, Antenna, all these horrible, horrible albums that they released in the 80s and in the early 90s, they released an album called XXX, which has to be probably the worst album I've ever heard in my life. It's by
that's
anyone,
quite a
it's
claim. That is.
absolutely shocking as an album. Yeah. And then suddenly in 1996, out of nowhere, I think they went, this electronic drum kit boogie keyboard shit isn't working for us anymore. Let's make another 70s album.
Right.
And they did it once. They did it with Rhythmine in 1996 and it didn't work and it flopped. And so they went back to
Right.
doing more of the sort of Rhythmine is the sound of a band absolutely unchained. Yeah. The drums on it are cavernous. Billy Gibbons' guitar playing just sends shivers up my
Well,
spine
yeah.
every time I hear it. It's just a magical, raw as fuck blues album. And it is probably my most listened to album in my collection of any.
Right. I got some homework to do then because that's not an album of theirs that
No,
I know.
no.
What you need to do, make a note of this after this, you need to go and listen to My Mind Is Gone from that album.
Right.
Yeah. And just live inside Billy Gibbons's tone and Frank
I
Beard's
mean, who wouldn't want
drums.
to do that?
And it's just sublimely beautiful.
Done. That's my homework set.
Yeah, I'm on it now.
Now I don't I heard now I've never followed this up and checked this out to see if it exists out there, but I've heard there are versions of that kind of mid-era 80s output where they had all the drum machines came in, where they took the drum machines out and replaced them with live drumming, or they reinserted the live drumming which was there originally, however they recorded it, I'm not sure. But apparently they did revisit them and reissued them with that being the but I don't know if they made any impact or if they're in a kind of a fan club website somewhere or I really don't know, but it'd be interesting to do the Pepsi challenge with them and just see how they compare, whether it lifts them at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to hear that. But I have such a bizarre relationship with that band because, as I said before, the 70s stuff, all of it is just dynamite to me. It's just, 7 or 8 albums which are just absolutely brilliant and I listen to all the time. And then there's that 80s and most of the 90s stuff, which is just horrible, terrible. Yeah.
I mean,
And
there is space for it in my heart, but I do recognize that it's cut from a different cloth
yeah,
to
yeah,
the originals.
I just don't like it. I can't, you know, do you know what I mean? It's just one of those subjective things. I don't like it. And also they're a massive disappointment because they've basically played the same set list for the last 35, 40 years. Yeah. And so you don't get to hear I mean, I've seen them live 3 or 4 times and it's always the same set list and it's
Yeah,
just not it's not what I want to hear.
I
yeah.
If
saw them about a decade ago, and I got to admit they were fucking awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 3 songs we stuck in, three and a bit songs, and went home. It wasn't great.
Right.
Great. I mean, I know that's it's a
Yeah,
long, long way into their career, but yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't
What's
good.
so sad is if you see footage of them around about 1980, there was a video released around, of them playing live at Rock Palast in Germany, yeah,
Mm,
in 1980, and they're a phenomenal live band, yeah. And then after they became commercially successful, they just completely took all of the fire out of their set,
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
Right.
And so if they now played in Manchester, I wouldn't want to go to see them because again, it's not the ZZ Top I want. I want the ZZ Top of the 70s or of Rhythmine. I want them to come out and play 3 or 4 songs from Rhythmine. And I think they played one song from Rhythmine about 3 times in the 90s and then never
Yeah.
revisited it.
Yeah.
So,
I think
yeah.
that was always my issue. Talk from a completely just from a live perspective. That was always my issue with Ozzy as well. He wouldn't deviate. Like I kind of was got into the records, and he had a live album out in the 90s called Live and Loud, which I think is a phenomenal live. Well, I don't know how live it is, but anyway, it's a phenomenal effort for what it is in terms of a live set, and it sounds great. And then the first opportunity I had to see him live was Osmosis era. And yeah, I love that album. I think it's great. A lot of affection for it because it was of my era. Um, but he's stuck rigidly to that Live and Loud sort of No More Tears greatest hits set. And I must have seen him about 7 or 8 times since then. Always enjoyed the experience, but I was always a little frustrated that he never deviated from that set.
Mm,
Great
yeah, of
songs, all of them great songs. But when you see someone that many times, you kind of want to hear a few, there was the odd swap out here and there, but
course. Yeah. No, I get it.
Right. Album number 8, last but not least.
Number eight.
Not another Rush album, is it?
It isn't. It's Neil Young and Crazy Horse,
Oh,
Wells, the live
nice.
album from 1991. And what a relevant time to bring that up because, first of all, you know, I said to you earlier, there's a running theme through these, which is just monster guitar players.
mm.
Yeah. And Neil Young, when he plugs in on that black guitar, is a monster guitar player. Yeah. But going back to what we've just said as well, there's a guy who, when you see him live, you have no idea what he's going to play.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I love him, even though he's made some rubbish over the years.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
But that purple patch at the end of the 80s and the early 90s when he released Freedom, Ragged Glory, and Weld is just
Mm.
magic. I mean, his guitar playing on Weld is just, I mean, it's scorched earth. Yeah. And uh, I could I could I could listen to that album all day long and never get bored, and I never do. It's just it's my favorite live album of all time, and it's
Right.
my favorite Neil Young album.
I've always had a soft spot for Neil Young. It started for me in the 90s. It must have been, fuck me. It was a Glastonbury, watching it on TV. I think he did around, was it 96, maybe 97, one of those. And watching that, and yeah, I fell in love with his music quite a lot. Again, I haven't really listened to him since a great deal,
Mm.
but it just made me think about it. Now I'm going to go back and dip into what I was loving when I was in my late teens. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
yeah,
I'm very much a fan of his plugged in stuff. Yeah, so I'm not a fan of the croony harvest kind of, you know, that lovey-dovey shit. I like it when he grinds, which he does, and with Crazy Horse specifically. But
mm.
you know, he played Glastonbury this year, and his set was just summed him up in a nutshell. Which it was that yeah, there were a couple of crowd pleasers in there, but it was mostly like gnarly guitar mangling, obscure stuff.
Yeah.
And I just love that fuck you attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 78 years old, he gets up with a bunch of kids, yeah, because they're all his band is all younger than him, and just plays sludge basically. Yeah. It's just feedback drenched, overdriven, nasty rock. And I want to be doing that when I'm 78.
Yeah.
What a dude.
There is just something very credible about him, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's not really it's not because he's trying to be, you know, awkward or difficult. It's just this is kind of what moves him, making noise, you know, playing music, making noise with a band. And
Yeah,
that comes across. There's something so authentic about it.
very much so. He just does not give a fuck. Yeah. He just plays what he wants. He records what he wants. He doesn't answer to anybody. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that credibility has meant that, when he tours now, he plays he headlines Hyde Park,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
headlines the first night at Glastonbury,
Mm,
goes to Europe and plays to 30, 40,000 people a night in his late 70s
yeah.
when
Yeah.
they don't know what he's going to play, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a rarity in itself these days
isn't it?
because we know with things like Setlist FM and stuff like that, we all know what's coming a lot of the time. And
Mm,
I mean, I suppose another one is like is Springsteen is another one who will just throw stuff into the set when he feels like it, kind of thing. And again, he's of a similar age. You just think we're losing a little bit of that,
Yes,
you know?
totally. So,
That sort of excitement of a band going, God, fuck me, you know what we haven't played for a while. You all know it. You all know it. Yeah, fuck it, let's play it.
yeah.
yeah,
You just don't get that kind of thing anymore. That was
yeah,
the only. I think that was the only letdown, and it's a very very small letdown. Was made in at London Stadium a few weeks back. This big 50th anniversary tour. It was a great set list and everything. And my boy was with me. He was 14, so he never seen Maiden before. So it was great. So we got to see all the big hits. Fantastic. But the fact it was East London, we were all talking amongst ourselves, thinking maybe they just a couple of extras they drop in,
Mm,
deep cut, just to mix it up a little bit. But it wasn't that. Maiden are very sort of strict, aren't they? I get it, but it was a little
yeah.
disappointing.
yeah. Yeah.
Have
Oh,
I got time to throw in two very quick
Fuck
honorable
yeah, you have.
mentions?
Of course you
yeah.
Yeah,
have.
cool. So, obviously, being me, having a Stoner Doom record label, having talked about Caius and Trouble and people like that,
Mm,
I had to have Black Sabbath debut album as my honorable mention.
hell yes.
Yeah. And I really struggled which one to honorably mention because it was going to be either the debut or Volume 4.
Mm,
Yeah. Um, but whilst I love Volume 4, the debut is the one that I always go back to. So
yeah.
that's a really quick honorable mention.
Yeah, I think between those two, really, you sum up everything that Sabbath is. It's like you've got the atmosphere on the debut and the power, in
Yeah.
Volume
Yeah.
4, and then you put those two things together, quintessential Sabbath.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was that. But my other honorable mention is Bleach by Nirvana. And the reason I mention
Shout.
that is because I got into grunge big style before it became cool. Yeah. So in the late 80s, I bought Bleach. I bought the first Mudhoney. I bought Ultra Mega OK by Soundgarden. Yeah. And was obsessed with all things Sub Pop
Mm,
until Nirvana signed to Geffen and released Nevermind, and then I lost interest because
right.
it just all went off in that. Nothing wrong with it. Respect to people that love Pearl Jam, that's cool. But once we went off into Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, moving away from their punk roots, it didn't appeal to me so much.
Mm,
But I remember the impact that Bleach had on me, and I can even remember specifically it was Negative Creep on first
yeah.
playthrough, which just
Yeah.
tore my face off.
Yeah. To this day, that is my go-to track from that album when you
Yeah,
really want to fucking get yourself going.
yeah,
Negative Creep.
It's like
yeah.
two
And I
completely
think,
different bands from Bleach to Nevermind. It's crazy when you look back at it.
yeah, totally. I mean, what's interesting for geeks is that uh, a Japanese only thing that was released in the middle called Hormoning,
Mm,
yeah, which was an EP which had Molly's Lips and a few other things on it. And when you look back on it now, that is very much halfway between
right.
the recording for 50p in 2 days Bleach to the Butch Vig in a professional studio, Nevermind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I mentioned Bleach because I release a lot of sludge, yeah, and I think that's where that comes from.
Hmm.
Yeah, from those Sub Pop, Mudhoney, Nirvana late 80s days, and that's why I love things like Praetorian and Corrupt Moral Altar and some of the other,
Yeah.
gnarly bands on my label.
Sounds. Yeah.
It's a filthy album, absolutely filthy
Yeah,
record.
and I love acknowledging that Nirvana were actually an '80s band. Like if you
Yeah,
mark them from when they start, it's
Totally.
which is nothing that they're never thought of in those terms, and I can see why. But it's nice to remind people that they were around in the '80s.
Yeah, very much so. And like, I remember distinctly at the time thinking, what's really cool about this band is they're always going to be mine because no one is ever going to get Bleach apart from me and a few other people.
Right.
Yeah. And then obviously, what, 3 years later, they're
Yeah.
biggest band in the world.
yeah,
Well.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's a fantastic album, Bleach. It really is. It's
Mm.
just everything dirty and filthy about it. It's almost like Nevermind is the worst thing that could have happened to that album.
Yeah.
You could still be looking back at that now without Nevermind, and we probably would still be talking about it as a great debut album, but
Mm.
Nirvana wouldn't have the legacy that they ended up having, although it was very short.
Mm,
It was Nevermind that obviously did that. In Utero, I think is another album that doesn't get talked about enough.
that's right.
Horrible album, just
Yeah.
Mm.
just horrid in its sound, but it's just evil, pure evil.
I
So
was so pleased. I was so pleased they did that. Yeah. I'd lost interest. And then my girlfriend at the time actually went out and bought In Utero, bought it home and played it. And I remember as she was pressing play thinking, here we go,
Right.
more thick, overproduced shite. And then by the end of that first play of In Utero, I was like, oh, fair play. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
they're not chasing the dollar here.
no,
No, well,
no,
it kind of comes back round to what we were talking about Neil Young. It's like, okay, I'll do that. It'll be successful, but I'm not just going to follow that template because that's what I have to do. Or, all right, so this is where we're going now. It's like, okay, done that. Now I'm going to do this.
Totally. And wouldn't it just be, I mean, I know this applies to several artists, but I'd love to know where they would have gone to if Kurt hadn't taken his own life.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
who
yeah,
knows?
because
But
he was. I mean, he was obviously troubled, but he was a very creative man. I mean, to go Bleach, Nevermind, and In Utero, that's the mind of someone that's pretty out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, who knows where he could have gone? And you think, he obviously worked with Steve Albini on that album and everything else that Steve Albini was then involved with, all the noise stuff and
Mm.
everything else that came after it. Who knows where Nirvana could have gone? Would have been
yeah,
interesting.
and we probably wouldn't have Foo Fighters, which some might say is a blessing. I mean, I couldn't possibly comment on that, but
No, I'll stand by the Foo Fighters debut. It's a fucking great album. It's a generational classic for me. But what they became, just nah.
no.
Yeah. I mean, it's like so many of the bands we've just talked about, they
Yeah,
out the gates.
Yes,
That's when the
totally.
best work occurs. But then, to use the cliche, the suits get involved
yeah.
and changes.
No, it's worked
Yeah.
out for Dave Grohl, hasn't it? So
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't complain.
no,
No, I'm
no,
sure his bank account doesn't.
No,
no,
he
definitely
was
not.
asked that.
No.
I remember seeing an interview. He was asked the question, "Who have you made more like who's been more lucrative for you? Foo Fighters or Nirvana?" He politely declined to answer the question, but it doesn't take a genius to work out that it all adds up to a shitload of money.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it fucking does. But fair play to him. He deserves it, I suppose. So, that was fucking good fun. Thank you for that. That's you've got quite a nice selection there. So, and you don't need a cargo plane to carry it. So it's worked out all right. So yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for coming on again.
Yeah, lovely to chat.
Don't be surprised if we drag you back on here again. Find another reason to get you back on.
Always
Yes,
a pleasure.
please.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to. How many copies of New Goblin Smoke have you got left?
Vinyl, but there's about 50.
Okay, I'm going to grab one because I haven't
Oh.
got one yet, and
I,
it needs to
just
be.
just before we sign off, then, do you want to say a bit more about this upcoming APF
Yeah.
show? You talked about Goblin Smoker headlining that. Who else is on?
Yeah, sure. So they're playing Swamp Coffin, Void Lurker, Wall, Trippy Wicked, and the Cosmic Children of the Night, and Battalions.
That's a
Yeah,
pretty heavyweight lineup.
yeah. It's six. APF used to do all dayers back in the day, Yeah, sort of 2017 to 2019. And it kind of, we actually did the last one weeks before COVID happened, February 2020. Yeah.
Wow.
And then it didn't happen during COVID, obviously. And then it never came back. And part of it was because I used to promote them and I just don't have the time or the effort or the energy to do that anymore. But Rebellion Manchester, which is a popular venue in Manchester, approached me and sort of said, we'd like to do it for you. Yeah. And they've organized everything. Yeah, it's APF's name over the door and 6 APF bands playing. And hopefully it'll become an annual thing.
Yeah,
So
that'd
we'll
be
do it
very cool.
do it again next year with 6 different bands and just, keep doing that really.
Well, we may as well throw in a little plug as well, because we've got 2 of your bands playing one of our shows the weekend before that. Swamp Coffin and Wall are playing that Beneath the Arches in Chelmsford. So yeah, I need to come and see those. Well, I can't fucking wait to finally see Swamp Coffin. Still haven't seen them yet. And
And you can get to see the slowest wall of death. Do you know about this?
exactly in a tiny little venue. So yeah, I can't. I've badgered them a couple of times to get down here, and we finally managed to make it work. So
Yeah,
yeah, really looking forward to that.
excellent.
Happy
So,
days. What's the date of the show?
Oh yeah, so it's at Rebellion Manchester on the Saturday, the 13th of September. Tickets are only £10 advance,
a
15
tenner.
on the door.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a steal.
Everything's
Yeah.
cheaper in the north, isn't it?
Well, this is true. Yeah, yeah. Throw in
Oh,
a bag of chips.
Yeah.
I can murder some chips. Right. Well, cheers again for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure, as it always is. And good luck with APF Fest. Good luck with everything else that comes in the future. And we'll see you back here in another 6 months, probably, for the next update.
Yeah. Nice one. Good to chat, guys. See ya.
Yeah.
Nice
And
one.
we'll be back again, I'm sure, in another week or so with more waffle. Who knows what? We never know. So yeah, why change a habit of a lifetime? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon. Take care. Stay metal.